Okay folks, here we go. We're going to install the ORSS cartridge from K-Tech into the air fork. There, look at me, I'm all confident this is going to work just fine. Into the air fork that comes standard on the FS 450 among other bikes. As I mentioned in the previous video, I experimented with pressures in the fork and experimented with pressures in the tire, but I just could not get a good feel. Trying to get heat into the tire, it was a warm day and I went down to 15 psi hot on that Bridgestone. So it was not a good feeling. It just felt vague. And the initial dive was horrendous. I just barely touched the brake and the fork felt like it was bottoming. Now I know it wasn't bottoming because I had my little thingies here coming down to, I believe, about there. But I wasn't able to use the brakes. I just couldn't do it. I had no feel. I didn't know where the limit was. So I couldn't go into corners hard because I was limited to using my rear brake. So anyway, I've just pulled the fork out. The secret there is undo these two, leave these tight, and then use this tool that comes with the cartridge kit to undo the cap on here. But before I loosen it all the way, there's 10 bar of pressure in here. That's a lot of stiction. Okay, so this cap is loose now. There's no air left in it. And from the research I've done online, there is oil. Oh, there we go. There's the last of it. There is oil in this fork, even though the damping is done on that leg. So we will get a container, actually I'll put it in that empty container there, and we have 400 mils of number 5 fork fluid ready to go in according to the instructions. I don't even know if I've got that out. So 350 to 400 5-weight oil. I've got the spring specific to my body weight and riding style. Yes, now I was prepping this earlier and look at that, now there's a vacuum in the cartridge, in the spring. Okay, so there is a little bit of oil in here. I will get a funnel and drain it out. It's around here somewhere. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, what else? Yeah, riding this thing on the track was a lot of fun. One of my students was on a Ninja 400. And I knew the track, or know the track a lot better than he does. That was his first ever time. I've been riding it since 2009. It was still very interesting to see just the comparison in horsepower to this and the Ninja 400. They were very similar. If anything, this felt like it had a little bit more, although it's only ever been, that was the first time it's ever run. It has 1.5 hours on that hour meter right now. And I had at least 75 pounds of body weight on my student Tyler. But yeah, this thing has a great motor. No doubt helped by that fancy looking titanium Akrapovich exhaust system, which changed colour significantly throughout the day. It started off all that grey colour and now it's got a lot of blue in it. Okay, so we've drained the oil. Screw the top cap back on, but don't tighten it. And then loosen the base valve. Okay, that's easy to do. I just happen to have the right socket. Oh, that was very loose. I think the problem is the cartridge itself is rotating. Oh, well, yeah, okay, that's it. I think. Okay. Not sure if it's slipping or not. Okay, there we go. That was easy. All right. Remove the standard cartridge. Now, I was experimenting with this earlier, went through the instructions to make sure I wouldn't look foolish on camera, because that happens enough already as it is, and I could not get this cap off. So I tried loosening it from the bottom, and I couldn't get it to look like the instructions did. So what I had to do is clamp this and then loosen the preload adjuster. So yeah, because the preload adjuster is bolted to this section. So to loosen the cap, remove the top cap and preload spacer. This was crazy tight. It shouldn't have been this tight, but I had to put a wrench on here and then a socket on here to undo it, like that. So like I said, it shouldn't have been that tight, but it was. Just caused a moment of confusion. Okay. Remove the top cap and the preload spacer. Install the cartridge into the fork tube. That's this. Install the valve into the fork bottom. Oh, you know what? This comes with the kit, with the cartridge. Oh, isn't it threading on? And 35 Newton meters. Got to get it to catch. Oh, that might have been it. There it is. Okay, and I will tighten that up when I have the axle back in. So I'll use my torque wrench on that when we have the final assembly done. Okay. Pour the fork oil in. I don't want that to leak, so I might just use that. Yeah, it's just enough so that it won't leak. Okay, 400 mils. And that weird noise is my air compressor. Alright, now what? Install the spring. Okay. Glug, glug, glug. 10.4. That's newtons per millimeter. I'm not sure exactly. Okay. Put the spacer in, plastic side down. Pull the rod up. And the one thing I did find when I was trying to loosen that cap was that the best thing to do is not use an 18. That's wrong, it's a 17. But a 17 doesn't have, yeah, so that's wrong, that should be 17. But a 17 cannot reach all the way in through there like that. So I used this. Okay, that's seated. It's got a good grip. Now, yeah, that's not the tool to use. It's a 12. Yes, that's it. Does it say 20 Newton meters? Okay, well, what's the point of having the tools if you don't use them? Okay. simple as that. Okay, 20 Newton meters. A little bit of grease. Well, actually, there's already a little bit of oil on there. And the grease is to seat that O-ring. So I will get just a little bit on there. Where did I put it? There it is. Not in the usual spot. And all it needs is just enough so that this O-ring doesn't catch and tear. Well, I tell you, this fork leg is quite a bit heavier now, but I'm sure it will be worth it. Tube up, cap on. Okay, it's finger tight. Install the fork. Okay, that's it. Wow. Now, I did practice that. I mean, as I was mentioning, that cap, because I couldn't get it off the way I should have, I did experiment with a few things. So that's a little bit of preparation, but there's no reason it shouldn't take that long for experienced shop. Now the question is, which way do I want to orient those stickers? Okay, now to double check the height of the fork. I'll get my caliper. Oh, too much. There. Sticker out, why not? And just like the disassembly, we'll use these triple clamps as a fixture for holding the fork to tighten the cap. So we only tighten the bottom bolts. There we go. And then we tighten these. And the rest is all very standard. So I don't think it's really terribly necessary to see the wheel reinstallation in all its one-to-one glory. So what we might do is fast forward through the reinstallation. A few other minor issues. Always be very careful when reinstalling the axle. Tighten it on one side, leave it loose on the other. Bounce the suspension up and down, and that will allow the forks to orient themselves properly into parallel planes. If you bolt this in and then bolt that down and tighten it, it's entirely possible. See, look at that. I can even just bend these in with minor hand force. But then once I do that, if the fork legs are like this, when they're moving up and down, the amount of stiction in these seals will be increased tenfold, and they'll do damage to the seals. The forks won't move up and down smoothly. You'll lose confidence and traction on the front end. It's just generally an unpleasant experience. So tighten one side, bounce the forks up and down a few times, and then tighten these pinch bolts. Obviously make sure once you've done installing the caliper that you pump the lever to push the pads back up against the disc. The last thing you want to do is be trying to load the bike on a trailer or on the back of a truck, and it starts to roll away from you, and you squeeze the brake lever, because you never grab the brake lever. You squeeze the brake lever and nothing happens, and it just keeps rolling, and yeah, again, unpleasant experiences ensue. Okay, so we'll fast forward the rest of this, but, oh, you know what? I will do the bottom of the fork of the cartridge before I have any leaks. So I'll just get the axle. And having said all this, I will be shortly pulling the forks off of the KTM and putting them on this one, because those forks fit that wheel. And I have a new set of wheels for dirt arriving soon, but they're not going to be here in time for some trail riding that we've got planned. So until those wheels arrive, I'll just use the KTM wheels. The KTM wheels. So some new spacers on the rear will allow the rear wheel to fit on this swing arm, but I couldn't make spacers work for the front because of this. So I need the standard brake caliper mount here, which is compensated for by this. That's I don't know, it's like a 2000 something or other GSXR 750 caliper. A little custom adapter bracket that I made on my little CNC mill. If it wasn't for that, I could probably have adapted those wheels, or that front wheel, to this fork. Oh, 35 we said. Oops, wrong button. And we went up to 38. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Okay. let the reassembly begin. Okay, next we will do a video about adjusting sag. Until then, thanks for watching.